Story: Millionaire husband took his new girlfriend house hunting. Then his pregnant wife had his assets frozen. Pick any room you want. Nathan Bennett said it while standing in a $9.2 million coastal estate with a glass of champagne in his hand and another woman beside him. Madison Reed smiled. Any room. Any room. The realtor opened a door at the end of the upstairs hall. This was designed as a nursery. Madison looked at the built-in shelves, the pale cream walls, and the balcony facing the ocean. Then she laughed. I don't want children. Nathan did not flinch. Then we'll make it your dressing room. 9 miles away, Nathan's 7-month pregnant wife sat inside her SUV outside a prenatal clinic with an ultrasound photograph on her lap and a financial authorization request glowing on her phone. $300,000. Bennett Family Investments, LLC. Ocean Crest Escrow. Authorization status. Second manager approval required. Claire Bennett stared at the screen. Stay with me, because Nathan believed his wife had stepped so far away from business that she could no longer stop him. He was about to learn that Claire had never surrendered the authority he once begged her to help create. If you like mature stories where patience, evidence, and self-respect matter more than screaming or revenge, subscribe. Tell me whether you would have approved that wire, and keep listening, because Claire's next decision did not take Nathan's fortune. It took away something he valued almost as much: the ability to decide what happened next by himself. Claire touched the ultrasound photograph. Her daughter's profile was clear enough to see the curve of her nose. The doctor had said the baby was healthy. Claire had smiled all the way to the parking garage. Then the authorization request arrived. She opened the account detail. Bennett Family Investments was not Nathan's operating company. It was a separate family investment LLC created 4 years earlier to hold certain real estate investments, marketable securities, and proceeds they had chosen to invest together. Nathan was a manager. Claire was the other manager. Their operating agreement allowed either manager to handle ordinary transactions below defined limits. Extraordinary transfers required approval from both. Nathan had designed that control when he feared fraud. Claire had insisted it remain when success made him impatient. Now someone had submitted a $300,000 earnest money transfer from the LLC to the escrow company, handling an estate on Ocean Crest Drive. Claire recognized the address. She also recognized the project code attached to the request. Mr. 09. Madison Reed. For 3 weeks, Claire had been documenting payments to Madison's design firm and unexplained movements between Nathan's personal investment entities and the family LLC. She did not know exactly what every transfer meant, but she knew what this one meant. The money could not move without her approval. Claire pressed decline. A second screen appeared. Reason for declining authorization. She typed, extraordinary transfer disputed. Hold pending manager review and legal advice. Then she called Rachel Morgan. Rachel answered. Claire, the Ocean Crest request arrived. How much? $300,000. It came through the family LLC. And your approval is required? Yes. What did you do? I declined it and requested a manager review under the operating agreement. Good. That preserves the status quo inside the LLC. It does not freeze Nathan's other assets. I know. Send me the authorization record. We'll use it with the family law filing we prepared if you still want to proceed. Claire looked through the windshield at families walking toward the medical center. A father carried a toddler on his shoulders. A woman held a newborn against her chest. Claire lowered her eyes to the ultrasound. I want to proceed. At Ocean Crest, Nathan signed the purchase offer. Madison touched the marble countertop. Does Claire know? Nathan smiled. Claire doesn't know enough to matter. He was wrong twice. Claire knew. And, on this transaction, she mattered legally before she mattered emotionally. 6 years earlier, Nathan Bennett would have laughed at the idea that Claire did not understand his business. He met her when Bennett Capital Properties was barely surviving. Nathan was 33, ambitious, charming, and convinced every problem could be solved by working longer. Claire was 25 and already a certified public accountant who specialized in forensic accounting. She did not look for dramatic crimes. Most of her work involved disputes, internal controls, business records, and the ordinary ways people made money harder to follow than it needed to be. Nathan loved the way her mind worked. On their 4th date, he complained about a contractor dispute. Claire asked 3 questions. Nathan stopped eating. What? You just found the part my operations manager missed. Claire smiled. Then your operations manager owes me dessert. A year later, Bennett Capital nearly failed. The problem was not one catastrophic mistake. It was a dozen smaller ones. Projects were held in separate entities. Contractor invoices were inconsistent. Nathan's team had weak approval controls. Cash moved between projects too casually. No single manager could explain where every commitment lived. Nathan arrived home one night with a cardboard box and no charm left. I think I'm losing the company. Claire pulled out a chair. Show me. For 2 weeks, she worked with him after hours. She did not become an officer. She did not secretly own the company. She helped him design order, clearer project ledgers, vendor verification, dual authorization for major payments, better separation between operating cash and investment funds. Nathan listened because he was scared enough to respect expertise. When the company survived, he never forgot what Claire had done. At least not at first. You saved me, he told her. No, Claire said. You finally let someone tell you where the risk was. They married the next year. As Bennett Capital grew, Nathan wanted a place for family investments outside the operating company. His lawyers created Bennett Family Investments LLC. Nathan and Claire each became managers. The arrangement made sense. Nathan found deals. Claire reviewed large commitments. For years, they worked well together. Then success began editing Nathan's memory. He stopped sending Claire deal summaries. He made small investment decisions without discussion because the agreement allowed it. Then he started describing the family LLC as my investment vehicle at dinners. Claire corrected him once. Nathan laughed. You know what I mean. She did. That was the problem. After they began trying for a baby, Claire reduced her client work. 2 years passed. Then the pregnancy test turned positive. Nathan cried. He sat on the bathroom floor with her and whispered. Finally. The first months were tender. By month 5, he was traveling again. By month 6, he missed a prenatal appointment because of an investor dinner. Later that week, Claire found a hotel charge on a household credit card statement. One suite. Nathan had said he was in a conference room across town. Claire stared at the amount for a long time. She did not accuse him immediately. Instead, she looked at the merchant record and the dinner charge from the same evening. Madison Reed. Madison owned Reed Creative Group, a small luxury design and branding firm that had recently begun appearing on Bennett Capital projects. Claire felt the betrayal before she understood the money. For one night, she did not want to be a forensic accountant. She wanted to be a wife. She sat on the kitchen floor after Nathan went to bed and cried with both hands around her belly. Her daughter moved. Claire breathed. Then she stood up. The next morning, she asked Nathan one simple question. How was your investor dinner last Thursday? He did not hesitate. Long, boring. What? No reason. He kissed her forehead. The ease of the lie changed something. Claire stopped waiting for a confession. She began reading. Not Nathan's private messages. Not his personal email. Records she had a right to receive as co-manager of Bennett Family Investments and records connected to household finances. The quarterly package from the LLC arrived 2 days later. Claire saw a $42,000 transfer described as a design deposit. Recipient, Reed Creative Group. A second payment appeared for $28,500. A third was routed through Westbridge Holdings, an entity Nathan controlled. Claire did not assume fraud. She asked the LLC administrator for supporting records for transactions in the company she co-managed. The administrator sent what was available. One invoice was for design consulting on a property the family LLC did not own. Another payment was labeled due diligence, but had no attached investment memo. The records were sloppy. Nathan had once hated sloppy records. Claire called Rachel Morgan. Rachel had represented Claire's aunt years earlier and now handled family law matters involving businesses and investment entities. Claire placed the operating agreement on Rachel's conference table, then the payment records, then the hotel statement. Rachel ignored the hotel at first. She read the operating agreement. You still have full manager status? Yes. No amendment. None that I signed. Rachel looked at the large transfer provision. This does not give you authority over Nathan's separate accounts or Bennett Capital's operating funds. I know, but it does mean the family LLC cannot make certain extraordinary transfers without both managers. That's how we designed it. Rachel looked at her. Then do not approve anything you do not understand. Use the company's process exactly as written. No retaliation. No emptying accounts. No moving funds to yourself. I wouldn't. I know. I'm saying it because precision matters. Claire nodded. What about divorce? If that's what you want, we prepare. Once the case is started, we can ask the court for appropriate temporary orders concerning disputed property. But the LLC hold and a court order are two different things. We keep them different. Claire liked Rachel for the same reason she liked clean accounting. Nothing was made more dramatic than it was. For the next 3 weeks, Nathan made Claire's decision easier. He missed another appointment. He sent flowers afterward. He came home late and smelled like Madison's perfume. He also began asking strange questions about Bennett family investments. Do you ever even look at those quarterly reports anymore? Claire kept folding baby clothes. Sometimes. Nathan watched her. I'm thinking about simplifying the LLC. How? Moving you out of day-to-day manager status. You don't want the paperwork. Claire folded a yellow onesie. Send me whatever the lawyer drafts. He smiled. See? This is why we work. Claire almost looked up. Instead, she said, is it? Nathan's smile faded. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. He returned to his phone. 2 days later, Claire found a draft manager consent in the shared legal portal for Bennett Family Investments. It would have delegated broader investment authority to Nathan. She did not sign it. The next morning, he left for property meetings. Claire went to her prenatal appointment. At 11:42 a.m., the $300,000 authorization request arrived. At 11:47, she declined it. At 12:06, the LLC administrator formally placed the proposed transaction on hold pending joint manager review. At 12:31, Nathan called the administrator. Release the wire. I can't without Mrs. Bennett's approval or an amended authorization basis. I'm the managing member. You are a manager. Mrs. Bennett is also a manager. Nathan's voice cooled. I created this LLC. The administrator paused. The operating agreement controls the account authority. Nathan ended the call. He called Claire. She did not answer. He called again. Nothing. Then Madison walked into the upstairs nursery at Ocean Crest. I want a wall of mirrors here. Nathan stood in the doorway, staring at his phone. Fine. Madison turned. You're not listening. The wire is delayed. What wire? The deposit. Her face changed. Why? Claire declined authorization. Madison blinked. I thought you said she had nothing to do with your finances. She doesn't. Then how did she stop a $300,000 wire? Nathan's jaw tightened. It's temporary. The realtor looked away. Madison crossed her arms. You told me the house was handled. It is. Is it? Nathan walked outside and called corporate counsel. Corporate counsel refused to touch the family LLC issue. His personal lawyer was more direct. You cannot order the administrator to violate the operating agreement because you're angry. It's my money. Some of the money in that vehicle is disputed. And if Claire files for divorce, expect formal requests for records and possibly temporary property orders. Nathan stared at the ocean. You're telling me my pregnant wife can lock me out of my own assets. I'm telling you she exercised her documented authority in one jointly managed entity. Do not turn that into a bigger problem. Too late. Rachel filed the divorce petition that afternoon. She also filed a request asking the court to preserve identified disputed assets and maintain the status quo while the financial issues were reviewed. The request included the operating agreement, the unusual payment history, the attempted $300,000 transfer, and Claire's declaration. Rachel completed the required notice and emergency filing steps, while Nathan's lawyer received the chance to respond. The judge did not lock Nathan out of every account he owned. The temporary orders were limited to identified property in dispute and preserved the status quo until the hearing. When Nathan learned that, he came home furious. Claire was at the dining table. She had changed from her maternity dress into a loose sweater. The ultrasound photograph sat beside a copy of the operating agreement. Nathan threw his keys onto the counter. You embarrassed me. Claire looked at him. At the house. His face froze. So did the room. How do you know about the house? The transaction told me. You have no idea what that property was. Then explain it. It was an investment. For Bennett Family Investments. Yes. Then why was there no investment memo? Nathan's mouth tightened. Because the deal was moving quickly. Why was Reed Creative attached to the property file? It's a design company. Why did you tell the administrator I no longer needed to approve the transfer? I told them I could handle it. Claire nodded. That isn't the same thing. Nathan paced. You have been away from business too long to understand how fast deals work. Claire stared at him. For years, that sentence would have hurt. Tonight, it was almost absurd. You're right about one thing, she said. I've been away from your business. Nathan stopped. But I'm not away from an LLC I legally co-manage. His voice softened. Claire, listen. This can still be fixed. What can? All of it. Madison. A pause. Nathan sat down. She was a mistake. Claire looked toward the nursery. No. A wrong turn is a mistake. A hotel room, repeated lies, and a $9 million house are decisions. Nathan flinched. I'll end it. In exchange for what? What? You came home because the money stopped. So tell me what you want. Withdraw the filing. Approve the transfer. Let me get the company stable. The company isn't involved in the block deposit. You know what I mean. Claire nodded. Yes, I finally do. Nathan's phone rang. Madison. He rejected the call. It rang again. Claire stood carefully. I'm staying with my aunt for a while. Nathan's anger returned. You're leaving while you're pregnant? I'm leaving because I'm pregnant. That doesn't make sense. It makes more sense than staying in a house where every question turns into an argument about whether I'm allowed to understand my own life. She picked up her bag. Nathan looked at her belly. What about? Then she left. Then her face crumpled. Margaret moved closer. I keep thinking about the baby shower, Claire whispered. He stood beside me while everyone gave us blankets and books. Madison was already in his life. Margaret waited. I feel stupid. You are many things, Margaret said. Stupid has never been one of them. I'm a forensic accountant. I find hidden things for a living. You're also a wife who wanted to trust her husband. Claire looked down. Margaret touched her hand. Don't turn his dishonesty into evidence against your intelligence. The sentence stayed with Claire. The next morning, she opened her laptop at Margaret's kitchen table and reviewed the files Rachel had asked her to organize. For the first time, she saw another risk. The family LLC administrator had copied both managers on a routine notice. Because the $300,000 transaction had been declined, several related pending instructions were being suspended until manager authority was clarified. One was a $96,000 transfer to Westbridge Holdings. Another was a $74,500 capital call tied to a property Claire had never heard about. Claire did not celebrate. She called Rachel. I found 2 more pending instructions. Do not cancel anything yourself unless the operating agreement requires your approval. I won't. Send them to me and the administrator. Ask for the supporting documents as a manager. Claire did. The administrator responded professionally. The $96,000 item had been entered as an investment advance. The $74,500 item had a project code, but no completed approval package. Claire read the email twice. Nathan had once insisted that no major investment leave Bennett Family Investments without a written memo explaining purpose, risk, and expected return. His own rule. She opened a folder from 4 years earlier and found the template. At the top was Nathan's handwriting. No story, no money. Claire stared at the words until she almost laughed. Then she scanned the page and sent it to Rachel. Rachel called. Useful history, she said. But remember, old procedures do not automatically decide legal ownership. I know. You sound disappointed. I'm not. I'm tired of people acting like precision weakens a story. Rachel smiled through the phone. Precision is the story. That afternoon, Nathan tried another path. He called the outside administrator and requested an emergency manager meeting. Claire attended by video from Margaret's kitchen. Nathan appeared from his office in a dark suit. 2 administrators and the LLC's outside accountant joined. Nathan opened immediately. The Ocean Crest opportunity is time-sensitive. I want the transfer released. Claire said nothing. The senior administrator looked at the agreement. Mrs. Bennett declined the authorization. She is acting under the influence of divorce counsel. Claire finally spoke. My reason is written in the system. I dispute the extraordinary transfer and requested supporting records. Nathan's eyes hardened. This is exactly what I mean. She has not been active in investing for years. The outside accountant interrupted. Activity level does not change manager status. Nathan stared at him. The accountant continued. If the managers disagree, we follow the agreement. We do not decide the marital dispute. Claire almost felt sorry for Nathan. He was discovering that neutral professionals sounded disloyal when a person had grown used to obedience. Nathan leaned toward the camera. Claire, you know Ocean Crest will appreciate. I don't know that. You know the market. I know there is no investment memo. I can send one. After the wire request. Nathan exhaled. Do you want the property or not? Claire looked at him. No. The word surprised everyone, including Claire. She continued. I don't want a house I learned about through an authorization request while leaving a prenatal appointment. Nathan's face changed. The meeting ended without approval. Later, the outside accountant sent both sides a written summary stating that the extraordinary transaction remained unapproved under the LLC process. Rachel included that summary in the court papers. It was boring evidence. Claire loved it. No secret recording. No hacked phone. No miracle witness. Just governance doing what governance was supposed to do. Nathan responded by accusing Claire, through counsel, of using the LLC to gain leverage in divorce. Rachel's reply was equally plain. Claire had used the authority already written into the operating agreement. The court would decide what additional temporary orders were appropriate. That distinction became the center of the next hearing. Before the hearing, Claire attended another prenatal appointment. Nathan asked to come. Claire nearly said no. Then she asked herself whether she was refusing because his presence felt unsafe or because she wanted him to feel excluded. The answer mattered. She sent him 3 conditions. Be on time. Do not discuss the divorce in the clinic. If you receive a business call, take it outside and do not return until the appointment is finished. Nathan wrote back. Agreed. He arrived 12 minutes early. During the ultrasound, their daughter stretched one leg across the screen. The technician laughed. She's making herself comfortable. Nathan smiled. For one moment, Claire saw the man from the bathroom 4 months earlier. Then his phone vibrated. He looked at it. Claire's body tensed. Nathan silenced the phone and put it in his pocket. It was a small act. It fixed nothing. Claire noticed anyway. Outside the clinic, Nathan said, Thank you for letting me come. This isn't about letting you into my life, Claire said. It's about making room for you and hers if you can respect the difference. Nathan nodded slowly. He looked as if he wanted to argue. He didn't. That, too, was new. Madison did not become Claire's secret ally. That would have made the story too easy. She knew Nathan was married. She knew Claire was pregnant, and she had still gone house hunting with him. When Nathan finally returned her call, Madison was angry for a different reason. You told me the Ocean Crest house would be in my name. It can still happen. When the legal mess settles. You said there wouldn't be a legal mess. Nathan closed his eyes. Claire overreacted. Madison laughed once. Your wife had to approve the money. It's complicated. No. You made it sound uncomplicated because you wanted me to believe you controlled everything. Nathan did not answer. Madison continued. Was Reed Creative being paid from that same family company? Some legitimate design work was. Some. Madison, I want my lawyer to review every invoice. Nathan's face tightened. You don't need a lawyer. That sentence is exactly why I'm getting one. She ended the call. Madison's lawyer later confirmed that some Reed Creative invoices were legitimate, while other payment descriptions were vague enough to require explanation. Madison never claimed every questionable entry was forged. The uncertainty itself was one more reason the records needed a proper accounting. The records were enough to raise questions that had to be answered. At the temporary order hearing, Nathan's attorney focused on the difference between Bennett Capital and Bennett Family Investments. That was fair. My client continues to operate a legitimate real estate company, he said. Mrs. Bennett's filing should not become a pretext to interfere with ordinary business activity. Rachel stood. We agree. Nathan looked surprised. Rachel continued. We are not requesting control of Bennett Capital's ordinary operations. We are asking the court to maintain preservation of identified disputed assets while the parties complete disclosure and tracing. She displayed the LLC operating agreement, then the $300,000 authorization request, then prior transfers to Westbridge and Reed Creative. The judge asked whether Claire's initial hold had been an action under the company agreement. Yes, Rachel said. The LLC administrator required dual approval for the extraordinary transfer, and the petitioner is now asking for temporary court orders beyond that internal hold, only as to specified disputed funds and transfers, pending accounting. Nathan's lawyer argued that Claire was using the affair to color ordinary investment decisions. Rachel did not argue about the affair. Instead, she displayed a draft property file produced after the case began. The preliminary purchaser line listed Westbridge Holdings. A later internal note stated, possible occupancy, Madison Reed. A second note stated, title structure to be finalized after personal separation. The judge looked toward Nathan's attorney. Was Mrs. Bennett informed of the proposed extraordinary investment from the family LLC? Nathan's attorney answered carefully. No formal notice beyond the authorization request. The judge continued the limited restrictions, ordered financial disclosures and accounting, and clarified that ordinary business operations outside the specified assets were not restrained. Claire listened to every word. No one had awarded her Nathan's company. No one had declared every transfer fraudulent. No one had turned adultery into a crime. The court had simply stopped disputed money from moving long enough for the truth to be traced. Outside, Nathan approached Claire. You got what you wanted. Claire looked at him. No, what else do you want? That's the problem, Nathan. You still think this is a negotiation where I'm trying to take something from you, aren't you? I'm trying to leave with what the law says is mine and with enough peace to raise our daughter. He stared at her. For once, he seemed unable to translate the sentence into a number. The months that followed were slower than Nathan expected and steadier than Claire feared. A forensic accountant jointly selected by the parties traced the disputed transfers. Some funds were clearly connected to the marital investment vehicle. Some were Nathan's separate investment money. Some required negotiation because years of commingling had made simple answers impossible. Claire did not enjoy that complexity. She respected it. Real financial disputes were rarely solved by one screenshot. The $300,000 Ocean Crest deposit never funded. The seller accepted another offer. Madison ended her relationship with Nathan before the next hearing. Not because she suddenly became Claire's friend. Because the future Nathan had sold her depended on the idea that nobody could question him. Once that illusion broke, so did the relationship. Nathan remained a millionaire. Bennett Capital continued operating. Claire negotiated a buyout of part of her interest in the Family Investment LLC while keeping other assets pending final settlement. The divorce was still moving through the legal process when their daughter was born. Sophie Bennett arrived on a rainy Tuesday morning. 6 pounds, 12 ounces. Claire cried when the nurse placed her on her chest. The first person she called was her aunt. The second person she notified was Nathan. He came to the hospital and waited until Claire said he could enter. When he saw Sophie, he went completely still. She looks like you, he whispered. Claire looked at the baby. She looks like herself. Nathan nodded. It was a small correction. He accepted it. That became the beginning of a different kind of relationship. Not reconciliation. Not friendship. Co-parenting. Nathan had to learn that showing up for Sophie did not give him access to Claire's private life. Claire had to learn that a boundary did not need anger behind it to remain firm. 3 months later, Claire sat at a kitchen table in a 1940s bungalow she had rented near her aunt. An old lemon tree leaned over the backyard fence. Sophie slept in a bassinet beside her. On Claire's laptop was a new business registration, Clearline Accounting and Advisory. Her own firm. 2 former clients had already asked when she would return. Claire planned to work slowly, 10 hours a week at first, then more when Sophie was older. She no longer believed motherhood required disappearing from the part of herself she had worked years to build. Her phone buzzed. Nathan, I confirmed Saturday at 10. I'll bring diapers and the formula brand you sent. Let me know if Sophie's nap schedule changes. Claire read the message. Then she placed the phone down. No knot formed in her stomach. That was progress. On the wall above the kitchen table hung one framed piece of paper. Not the operating agreement. Not the court order. Not the $300,000 authorization request. It was a handwritten note from Claire's first accounting professor. Accuracy is not about being suspicious of everyone. It is about respecting the truth enough to check. Claire had kept it for years. Nathan used to tease her about it. Now she understood why she had never thrown it away. Sophie made a soft sound. Claire lifted her from the bassinet and walked toward the back door. The lemon tree was heavy with fruit. The bungalow was nothing like Ocean Crest. No infinity pool. No wine cellar. No private theater. The nursery could barely fit a crib, a chair, and one narrow bookshelf. Claire loved every inch of it. Nathan had taken Madison house hunting because he thought an expensive address could prove he had moved beyond his marriage before the marriage had even ended. Claire had stopped one extraordinary transfer because she had the authority to do so, then asked a court to preserve disputed assets because the rest required law, evidence, and time. That difference mattered. It meant she did not become powerful by taking Nathan's money. She became powerful by refusing to surrender her own judgment. Months later, when the divorce settlement was finally close, Nathan asked during mediation, "Do you ever think we could have saved it?" Claire did not answer immediately. She thought about the bathroom floor with the positive pregnancy test, the first missed appointment, the hotel charge, the $300,000 request, the way he had called the family LLC his even while needing her signature. Then she thought about Sophie sleeping on her chest. "I think we could have saved it before you needed me to become smaller," she said. "After that, saving the marriage would have meant losing myself." Nathan lowered his eyes. For once, he did not argue. Claire did not need him to agree. Outside the mediator's office, rain had started. Claire opened an umbrella and walked toward her car. Sophie was waiting with her aunt. There would be forms to sign, schedules to follow, and years of parenting decisions ahead. None of it was glamorous. That was fine. Claire had seen what glamour looked like when it was built on secrecy. She preferred ordinary truth. The bungalow beneath the lemon tree, a healthy daughter asleep nearby, work she respected, and a future that required her own consent. And when Sophie someday asked why her parents lived in different homes, Claire knew the answer would not be about a mistress, a mansion, or a frozen account. It would be simpler. Because a family can change shape, Claire would tell her, and still choose honesty. Disclaimer: the following narrative is a fictional work made solely for entertainment. Every person, company, account, property, legal dispute, and circumstance is invented. Any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental, and the story is not legal, accounting, or financial advice.